Hi, hello, hey. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you a very exciting art supply that I actually got months ago for my birthday. And I was like, I'm gonna make a YouTube video on it. And then I just kept putting it off. But it's okay, I finally did it. In this video, I'm going to be painting with recreations of colors that don't exist anymore. Or like pigments that don't exist anymore, I guess would be like the proper term. Like, yeah, you're ever watching like an art documentary and they're talking about how there was like lead in the paint? I think they always talk about that. They're like, there's lead in the white, in the yellow, and all the colors. It poisons you, but people would paint with it. Yeah, so not lead paint, but there was also other paints that had poisons and stuff in them, and also had dead bodies in them, stuff like that. So we're going to be trying recreations of those colors. I don't know why I said we're. Me is going to be trying them, and I'm going to be painting with them, and then while I'm painting, I'm going to be telling you about the colors. These are the colors I'm going to be using, and I found out about these because Superraedizzles made a video about like this like brand of paints years ago. I don't really know how to say his name, but it's Ryan Yinmn or something. Ryan Yinmn. One of those, I think. And he takes like the actual like original version of the paints and color matches them to ones that are not, you know, poisonous and won't kill you, so that's good. So these are the recreations of the paints, and these are the watercolors. And I don't think he sells the watercolors anymore. I think I got like the last or second to last set of them, which is crazy, and I didn't even realize them until after I got them, and it was like, oh, not available anymore. And I looked at his like Instagram and it was like, I'm not selling the watercolors anymore, and I was like, okay. But he does still sell like the pigment version for most of the paints. So there's like the oil paints, and then there's also the like powder pigment, and if you get those and mix them with the watercolor binder, then you can still have watercolors. Yeah, so in this video I got 6 colors, and I'm going to be doing 2 paintings with 3 colors per painting, and then I will tell you about the colors as I'm painting with them. Also, of course, I will link the shop where you can get these paints, and also the person Ryan's Instagram, and I will link Superraedizzles video where I like this found out about these paints. But yeah, so for the first painting, I decided to do just like a good old-fashioned primary color palette. I figured that was a good way to start. So here's the first painting, and I also decided to take inspiration from when the paints were made for like the fashion of each drawing. So this one takes inspiration from the blue color that I will be using, but I'll get to that later. First, I'm going to be talking about the red that I used. So this is Cinnabar, also called Vermillon. And I also want to say a lot of these paints, they had like a whole list of different names they are called. Like I don't remember like what they all were, but like I remember especially this green color I used later. It had like, I don't know, 10 different names it went by. So I did not list every single name each color goes by. I just like did like the top 2. So this one is called Cinnabar and also Vermillon. And Cinnabar is like the rock / mineral that you get this pigment from. And I think normally like the color is called Vermilion. Okay, I'm gonna be getting into the facts, the story, so buckle up, pay attention. And also, I got like pretty much all of the information from like Wikipedia and YouTube videos. So if I get anything wrong, I apologize. Most of these paints I had never heard of before. So Cinnabar is a super old pigment. It was used for thousands of years, and it was also used as medicine in China for like a super long time. And I think I read an article saying that it's actually still used in medicine a little bit. they didn't give me like a lot of like, I don't know, that article was weird. It was like had a bunch of information but also like zero information at the same time. So it might still be being used as medicine, maybe. And it was the best read and was used like everywhere. And it was even used in like ancient Rome, and it was used for like ceramics and walls. But here's the problem with Cinnabar and why we don't really use it anymore. It has mercury in it. Mercury's pretty bad, you know, like poisons you. It's not good. And this pigment's also not like light fast, so it would fade. So I guess people were like, it poisons you, it also fades, so let's not use this anymore, right? And it stopped being used in the 1900s. Also, if you don't know how bad mercury is, when I looked up like what are the symptoms to like, you know, tell you about it, it was just like everything. It was just like a whole list, and I was like, it's bad. I got it. I also, in that article, it was like, it's one of the top poisons. It's one of the worst ones. And I was like, can I have a number? Is it like top 3? Top what? It was like, it didn't tell me. So that's the first one. Poisonous. But really pretty color, you know? It's a bright red. And I gotta appreciate how long they used it for, you know? That's very nice. Okay, so the second color is called Indian Yellow, and it was shockingly made in India. Who would have guessed? And this color is very interesting. I don't really know who thought of this. I don't know how they came up with this. But this color is actually kind of crazy because it was used in this painting called like The Starry Night. You may have heard of that painting. So this was what was used for like the moon and like the yellows. Well, okay, they used 2 yellows, but like this was like the bright yellow they used, which is crazy. And this color, you're like, oh, it's so pretty, bright yellow. Yeah, it was made from cowpea. Who thought of this? I want to know how they came up with this, but they fed these cows only like mango leaves and water to get their pee to be that bright yellow. And this was not very good for the cows, you know, just eating leaves. And this color was used for 200 years. And then people in Europe thought it smelled kind of gross. Because if you were wondering, like, does cowpea paint smell bad? It does, in fact, smell bad. It's funny, that was my mom's first question. She was like, did it smell? And I was like, yeah, that's how they found out about the cowpea. So people in Europe were like, this smells kind of fishy. After using it for 200 years, they started asking questions. And then they found out that it was made from cowpea, and they were like, we don't want to use this anymore. In 1908, the process was outlawed because it was harming the cows. They were starving, only eating the mango leaves. But what's weird about it being outlawed is there's no record of this law, so I don't know. That's confusing. But it slowly stopped being used in the early 1900s, and by 1921 it was gone. But about this color and a lot of other colors, if you look up the name, like Indian Yellow, you can still find paint being sold under this name, but it's the synthetic version, so like made in the lab, not like made with cowpea. So I don't know how close those are to the original. Also, by the way, I end up painting over this whole background, so don't get attached. And the next color is Yinmn blue, I think is how you say it. I didn't even realize I had colors like this in the set until after I got it, but you know, I'm down, it's cool. But this color actually isn't a color you can't get anymore. This is like the opposite. It's a new color. So this color was discovered in 2009, like on accident. I don't know, they're like messing with like, I don't know, chemicals or something, and then they like discovered a new blue pigment. And it was discovered in Oregon, at Oregon State University, which is pretty cool because I do live in Oregon. So I actually saw a bunch of videos about this and I never knew that it was like discovered here. So I was really happy when I learned that. I was like, what? And sometimes this color is actually called Oregon blue or like Moz blue, I think. But most of the time it's called Yinmn blue. And the reason this color is in this set is because it's still kind of hard to get and it's like crazy expensive. I don't even think there's like a brand that like sells paint made by this. You can like get like the pigment, but I think it's like still pretty hard to get the paint. But you can see this recreation of it is like, it's a really pretty blue. Like it might be like my favorite blue paint, honestly. Like it's really pretty. So, but yeah, it is kind of sad that you can't like find it very easily or get it very easily. But yeah, and this set too, I was kind of confused why it was here if it was like a new color, but then I reread it and they were like, oh, this set is like just colors that are like hard to get either because like, you know, they don't make them or because they're like expensive. So that does fall in the categories. So in 2007, Crayola replaced Dandelion with Beautiful, which is inspired by Yinmn blue. Which is funny, I swear, I'm on like the most like random places on the internet, but they're always complaining about this. They're like, Dandelion was such a better color than this blue. Like nobody cares about this blue crayon. It's a whole thing. But yeah, so Crayola, they better watch out. People are mad about this. And in 2020, Vermillon made a limited edition batch of Yinmn blue paint, which I think was like oil paint, because they make oil paint, so I'm guessing it was oil paint. And in 2021, Golden Paints was commercially licensed, but supply was limited. And that is what the Wikipedia said. But yeah, I have seen videos of people trying this color, so I think if you just like really look for it, you can find like pigment or something. Like Superraedizzles, who like I found these paints from, I think she actually did a video of trying Yinmn blue. So also, I forgot to say this earlier, so my bad, but so when I was like trying to figure out like what to draw, I was like, oh, discovered in 2009, maybe I should do like a, you know, kind of like 2000s inspired outfit. And then the other one, I was like, I'm gonna do a Victorian outfit. So I love drawing Victorian outfits. But this one, I ended up just like kind of drawing a dress that I found on Pinterest, but like the colors were different. I also think I learned with this painting, the primary color scheme is like not for me. I didn't like it. And I didn't want to mix the colors too much because I wanted you to be able to like see the colors. But I'm not a fan of the color scheme. It was reminding me of like superheroes. Like I don't know if you notice superheroes always have like the primary color palette. Like nobody's like just like orange or purple for some reason. They're always like red, yellow, or blue most of the time. Like if you look, you will find a lot of people sporting those colors with the superheroes. But anyway. Anyway, so I tried to go for like a 2000s outfit for this one. That was my inspiration. And yeah, I kind of hated it until I painted over the background. And it's growing on me. It's not my favorite painting I've done, but it's fine. And like the shawl that she's holding, which I know you can't really like see much of right now, so sorry about that, but that was inspired by like the starry night, you know, like the yellow stars in the blue background. I had a lot of fun on this painting, but I do wish I did like line art with like a fine liner before I did the painting, because I couldn't get my like line art to be with like the paints as good as I wanted. But I don't know, I think I was being too hard on this painting after I finished it. Yeah, so now I'm just doing like some final highlights with my white gouache as I do. And now I'm going to paint over the background. And look, I opened my gouache and the white had mold in it. So I threw out that color. But I've seen a lot of other artists have mold growing on these paints. So every time I open mine, I always check for mold because I'm always scared. And then I was like, after a while of checking, I was like, oh, I think I'm in the clear. I think I'm okay. And then this time, I didn't expect it, and I was like, wait a minute. And there's been a couple times where I thought there was mold, but it wasn't. And this time, I was like, oh, that's fuzzy. That's definitely mold. So, yeah. I threw out that white. Luckily, there's a second white. I just hope none of the other colors get mold on them. But yeah, so that was a fun little surprise. Also, the reason I painted over the background was not because I didn't like the old background. I normally really like a dark background. I think it like helps the character stand out. But I just felt like it didn't match like the subject of the painting or something. I feel like it needed like a softer background. So that's why I painted over it. And here is the final first painting. And now I will get to the second one and tell you about some more paintings. In the second painting, I ended up liking a lot more. So stay tuned. And here's the color scheme I ended up going with for this one. And I'd actually use this color scheme again. It kind of worked out like way better than I thought it was going to. So this first color for this painting is called like Yintico red, I guess. This one was, I never heard of this one before. So I was like, oh, I wonder what's up with this one, right? And then I Googled it. Nothing came up. And I was like, I was so confused. I was like, Google doesn't have anything? And you know how Google has this new thing where it's like AI, gives you like a general thing? AI was like, we don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, Google, you're supposed to know these things. What do you mean? So I looked on YouTube. Luckily, YouTube did know what I was talking about. And the only other thing I found was this website that was just like a website about different like paint pigments. And that had a little bit of information on it too. But yeah, so if you're wondering, what is with this mystery paint? So this paint is actually even newer than Yinmn Blue. It was discovered in 2016, which is funny because I think if you look up like newest color, it gives you Yinmn Blue. So like, I don't know, everyone's forgetting about this red, I guess. Maybe they just don't know about it yet. So Yintico red is actually a acronym for what the paint is made out of, which I think is pretty cool. And it makes me wonder if Yinmn Blue is that too. I didn't see that anywhere, but I don't know, maybe it is. But this paint is made up of 4 metals, which is where it gets its name from. The Y is for yttrium, and the IN is for indium, and the TI is for titanium, and then the CO at the end is for cobalt. I had to look up how to say half of those. But, and this one was actually made by the same people who made Yinmn Blue, which is funny. And Yintico, or still don't know if I'm saying that right, is actually a granulating red. And an example of granulating is like when the paint is like not like smooth, it kind of has like a bumpy texture look to it. And I believe reds are one of the rarest, maybe yellows. It's like yellows and reds are like the rarest granulating colors, I think. So I thought that was a fun fact. And it's light fast. And Schminke, that brand, they had a Yintico red watercolor, which was limited edition in 2023, which is actually where I like the only like source of information I could find was people like reviewing this Schminke watercolor paint. And I was like, okay. And I looked it up, and you can't get it anymore with limited edition, just like the Yinmn Blue paints. You can't get them anymore. So yeah, there's not much information on this color, but it's really pretty. The recreation that I'm using, though, isn't granulating, but I'm not mad about that. It's actually more useful for me because I don't use granulating colors that often. They are fun, though, but I use them less often than not, I guess. Also, I totally messed up the order of this painting, so I think I was going to do the green color first. Like, I was going to talk about that first in the voiceover, so I did that first in the painting. But, like, then I didn't do that, so the order of me painting with the colors in the painting is a little messed up, so I'm sorry about that. Okay, this next color is the star of the show. This is the most crazy one. But also, my notes might be a little out of order for this one. I rewrote most of my notes to make, like, the order, to make it, like, the dates in order, but I didn't do that for this one, so hopefully it's fine. But this color is crazy. So, Mommy Brown, you might have heard about this one. Like, you probably heard about this one if you watch any, like, crazy paint color videos, but this was made from corpses. Again, who came up with this? I don't know. But, so, I guess, like, Egypt, like, gave Europe some mummies. They, like, shipped them over or something. And then Europe was like, you know, these would be really good for making paint. And also for medicine. Medicine with mummies was a big thing, apparently. Which is interesting. I don't know why you would want that. But yeah, and this was used from the 16th century to the 19th century. Actually, I don't think that's right. I think it was used from the 1600s to the 1900s, I think is what I meant to write. And this color is also sometimes called Egyptian brown, or, don't know how to say this, but Capcut mortium or something. And interesting thing about this color is it turns out mummies give you a lot of different variation of paint colors. And sometimes this color can be more purple or like violet, so it's called Mummy Violet. This was really good for painting flesh tones. That was its big thing. It was transparent and people thought that was like really cool. So like this is really good for painting skin because it was made out of people. It's so crazy. And one of the main reasons that people stopped using this was because they ran out of mummies in Europe. And I saw in some video someone was talking about, I didn't see this on Wikipedia, so like, I don't know, but somebody said that when they started running out of mummies, they decided to get like people that were like executed, like prisoners that got executed. They would like drag their corpses out to like the desert to like dry them out and then use those. They were making their own mummies once they started running out, which is crazy. And I also heard this story of when people started finding out, because that was the other reason, is because people found out what it was made from and they were like, what? So it stopped kind of being used because of that too. And when this one artist, when he found out that his tube of paint was made from mummies, he buried it. He had like a little funeral and he buried it out in this garden. And then it also said this like little girl put a flower on top of the grave for his little tube of paint. Like, I kind of get that, but I don't know. At that point, I feel like you might as well use the paint if you, like, you know, might as well make use of it. Or, you know, keep it because that's crazy. But, like, that's nice that he buried it. And, it also says this one was not very light fast, just like the rest of them. And it stopped being made in the mid-20th century. Okay, am I the only one that hates all this, like, 20th century talk? Or, like, when it has, like, the centuries? Because, you know, the centuries are, like, it's, like, a head. So, it's, like, 20th century means, like, 1900s. It's so confusing. But, anyway, it stopped being made in the mid-1900s. I'm going to say it that way because that's easier to understand. And a famous painting that they think this was used in is Liberty Leading the People, which I actually saw this painting. So I learned that and I was like, what? That's it. I think it was used in a lot of like big paintings from that time period, but it's like kind of hard to tell, I guess. And the last tube of Mummy Brown paint was sold in 1964. So not that long ago, which is crazy. But yeah, also, I think you, like I said, you can get different colors, but a lot of the like swatches I saw of the original, the color was like, it was like yellow. So I feel like it would have made like a good color if for like a skin tone if you were like looking into like the sun or something, or like facing like the sun or whatever. So I could totally see it like being a skin tone. I actually, on Wikipedia, it had like a swatch of like all the different browns available at the time, and Mummy Brown was like one of the prettiest ones, and I was like, okay, so it is a really good color. I can see that. But yeah, and I think like the color ranges went from like a yellow to a violet color. So it had range. But yeah, I don't know if I would want a color made from dead people. Unless they gave permission, you know? Maybe we can have that be a thing. When you die, you can be like, I want to be made into paint. Thank you very much. That wouldn't be so bad. And last but not least, we have my favorite color that I actually took 2 pages of notes on because there was a lot and I like this one. Yeah. And again, I don't think this one is in order either, so hopefully it's not too confusing, but it's okay. So this last final color is emerald green, also called Paris green. And this color was first made in 1814 as a replacement to this other color that I didn't look up how to say. I think it's like Schill's green or something, I think. And both of these beautiful green colors were made with arsenic. An also crazy poison that will mess you up and might kill you. But it makes a really pretty green color. And I gotta say, I've known about this one for a long time, and I see the appeal. Like, if I was there during the time, like, I see it. I mean, it would kill you, so, you know, probably best to stay away from it, but it is a really pretty color, so I get why it was popular. But yeah, these colors were crazy. And in 1822, a recipe for emerald green was published, and in 1867, the pigment was named Paris green. So this one actually has like a lot of names too, but the main ones are emerald green and Paris green that I always see. And this color was, I also don't really know how, I don't know, maybe mixed with other things, but this color was officially recognized. It was recognized as the first chemical bug killer in the world. And I also saw that this color, it had some fights over whether or not it was light fast. Some people said the paint didn't fade, but others said that it would turn to brown. So I guess it just depended on the brand, but sometimes it was light fast, I guess, and sometimes it wasn't. And with it being a bug killer, it was used for a lot of different things. It was like used for like beetles, and this one was one of the only ones too where it actually mentioned it being used in America. Like a lot of them, I guess it was like, I don't know, before the times or whatever. Like in Mommy Brown, it wasn't, I didn't see if it was like, just talked about Europe, so I don't know, but this one was everywhere, I guess. And it was also used to kill rats in the Paris sewer, and that's why it got the name Paris green. And this paint was used by Monet and Van Gogh. This paint was used by a lot of big artists. And it was also used in this one painting called A Sunday on Le Grand Jatte. Do I know how to say the name of the painting? No. But I love that painting. It's actually like for like famous old paintings, it's actually like one of my favorite. I saw it when I was like a kid, like a picture of it. We learned about it in art class, and I thought it was so cool. It's the painting where they're like at the park, I think a park, and it's like made with a bunch of little tiny dots. And this lady has like a monkey, I don't know, a pet monkey, I guess. And I was like, oh, you can paint with tiny dots? That's so cool. And I don't know if you remember, but on the first painting I did in this video, I used like tiny dots. And then I learned about the tiny dots being used with emerald green after I finished the painting. And I was like, I should have used tiny dots for this painting too, but I didn't know. Missed opportunity. And this bug killer was actually like, I think I read somewhere that like the bug killers before would take like 4 minutes, but this one took like 30 seconds or something. So it was really strong. And so strong that the factory workers making it, it was common to have health problems, and sometimes they would die. But, you know, people saw this color and they were like, oh my god, it's so pretty. And they didn't take the factory workers dying as a red flag, or like, you know, that it would kill rats as, you know, it could be dangerous. They were like, you know what this would be good for? Household items. They'd use it as wallpaper and book covers. And also, they'd put it in women's clothing. Of course. Yo, I knew this color was like, people would use it to make dresses, like to dye the fabrics. And I was like, let me look that up again while researching. And then it was like, yeah, used in women's clothing. And I was like, hold on a minute. Just women's clothes? I see how it is. They're like, oh, why don't you wear this pretty color that might kill you? Yeah. And in the 1800s, journalists documented cases of children wasting away in bright green rooms and ladies in green dresses fainting. But, you know, it's fine. It's a really pretty color. Meanwhile, Scheele's green, however you say that other green, is a more like yellow version, and emerald green is more blue. But that color, also made with arsenic, was also used for wallpaper and dresses as well. So they're sisters, they're similar. I think I forgot to mention this too, but this color was created in Germany. And I think Scheele's green was also created in Germany. Yeah, which I think is funny. It was named Paris green, but it was made in Germany. I just thought that was funny. But yeah, so it started to decline in the 1860s, but was still in use until the 1930s, and then it was gone. But yes, this one's not that old either. So for this painting, I decided to do like a Victorian style dress because like that's what they would use it for. And I gotta say, this recreation, it is like the prettiest green paint I've ever seen. So I understand the appeal, but women that would wear these dresses, they would get like sores and they were fainting. People blame the corsets, but it was actually the poisonous dresses. That's what I gathered. And also wearing these dresses would, poison you, and they'd also like make you lose your hair. No! That's the worst part. But yeah, so we don't use this color anymore because it's poisonous, but it's really pretty. Yeah, so this recreation, I'm definitely going to be using this color the most probably out of all of these. And here is the final second painting. Sorry I slowed things down at the end. I ended up talking about emerald green a lot more than I thought I would. Here are the finished paintings. It feels funny filming the intro and the outro at the same time. It always feels funny when I do that. Look at them. And here are all the notes I took for this video. Like, you don't even know. Like, this is why I put it off for so long, because it did take a long time. but it's okay. I had fun learning about the different paints, even though I did already like kind of know about most of the ones I use in this video. I decided to do like the more famous ones for part 1, and I forgot to mention this. I only used half the paints I got, so there will be a part 2. Yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, you know, feel free to like it and subscribe, yeah? Send this video to your friends. And stick around for part 2 if you want, you know? Will be less recognizable ones, I think. And yeah, thank you for watching, and goodbye!